Hello and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I'm Len D'Amico and this is episode number 79. This is a special guest episode with my pleasure to introduce Andrew Lundberg. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Did I
thank
pronounce
you for
that
having...
correctly?
Yeah, you did. Lundberg, right. Not like Office Space, which everybody has said since the 90s is Lundberg. That's Lundberg.
That has
it's
to
not
be
Lundberg.
Brutal, Andrew.
It was a pain in the ass for a while, yeah. Every bartender would be,
Have a
you know the
field day.
line. Lumberg fucked her. That was always the, that was the line.
Jeez.
You remember the movie?
Oh, I remember the movie.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
It's the worst character ever to be recognized for it, too. He's such a cheeseball.
Yeah, he was, but you're not. No,
I am not.
Andrew, how would you introduce yourself as?
Okay, well, part of the reason we're here is to talk a little bit about the Scrawl Festival. So I've been a local artist. I've been in Franklinton now for over 15 years. I would say I'm kind of I do painting and sculpting, but I own a small business where I do a lot of fabricating. So oftentimes we'll do a design, so we're a design and build. We're called a job shop. So we'll do a lot of things, but typically everything has somewhat of an artistic bent to it. You know, and it might be something for a developer that the contractors don't know how to do, or nobody quite knows how to figure out.
And they think of you.
Well, right, for
your company,
more
right?
of a, because we design and build.
Do you want to do the name of your company?
Sure, Lundberg Industrial Arts. Yeah.
Very good. And is there a website maybe we can link people to?
Yeah,
That'd be
certainly.
awesome.
Just to say it? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, but we'll
You'll
put it in.
It's just LundbergArts.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as your involvement with Franklinton.
Sure. It's kind of that's a long story if we want to get into that.
I think it's.
That's probably the biggest part of, if anybody kind of knows me, that's kind of where I did my second life. You know, I started out as a designer, and I went to Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and then I came here to work in design. But I majored in painting and illustration, but at that point I could still it leaked into design, back then. So I was able to kind of go around some of the local design agencies, ad agencies over the years. It was great. I really worked for some great places. Resource, which is now IBM. Fitch, which is not Abercrombie and Fitch. Fitch is another design firm, really talented international thing. So it was great. I had a good time doing it. Kept raising up, I actually went to Connecticut and worked for Heineken. Did design for Heineken, and kept kind of moving up, and things were really, really working out well. But I felt like the thing I'm really good at was the design and the art part of it. But just like with everything else, the higher you get, the less you actually do what you're good at, and it's just managing people. And I may not, that wasn't my gift, is to manage a bunch of people. It was more about, using my eyes and coming out my hands. It was more visceral for me, and I felt like I lost that in design. But so really, it started with Urban Scrawl. So the Scrawl Festival, which is here's the plug, and we'll get that out of the way. There's 60 mural painters this year, and it's down in Franklinton. We're at the 400 Square, if you're familiar with that area. It's near Land Grant. People know where Land Grant is. If you know where Land Grant is, you know where Franklinton is. And that's an arts district. So it's been going on for 18 years, and I've been part of it for over 13 of them. So I've loved this festival. And when I got down here for the first time, all those years ago, was when I kind of discovered that there was an area that was just getting started. It was, even the metal was still on the windows. It kind of had that like, this is the Wild West still. I mean, this place is just getting going. And there were some artists there, and there were some kind of movers and shakers, people that had ideas and thoughts about what it could be, and they were working on it. And
And so Franklinton is kind of defined as the peninsula.
Well, yeah,
downtown Columbus.
Yeah, the peninsula is kind of even its own little monster. And
But
if you come up past the train tracks, that's kind of the arts district. Now it's kind of pushing a little further, but there is kind of that central arts district, which is kind of surrounded by Gravity and River and Rich, Land Grant, that area right there. So Idea Foundry, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where
And
it kind of.
And that's where
So
you
I met all
started.
those people, yeah. And I went with he was my creative director, and I was his design director, and we went down to paint at the festival. Dave Deniston, he's a great guy and a hell of a painter. And we were painting on the weekends. We did it all the time. I mean, it was like we did it every night. We had studios. Him and I had 2 different studios together, and it was just a way to. We always loved it so much, but. This other career was happening. So we got down there, and I started seeing the possibilities of something else, It took a minute, but it just kind of drew me there. I don't know if it was, I guess destiny, but it was second life. It was like, it was my chance to like.
Purposed to stay there, right?
There was a purpose. I felt like I needed to shed something. I don't know what it was. And, I honestly... I didn't have a family at the time, so it was easier for me to do something like this, and ultimately I really just quit my job, took out my 401k, bought an Airstream, parked it next to an old warehouse, plugged it in, and I just sat in Franklinton for the next 15 years. Now, I was only in the Airstream for 4 of those years, but that was my way to kind of get
shed and
I really did, man.
And start on ground zero.
Yeah,
literally.
It seemed a little hippie at the time, I suppose. And even
that's so awesome. Though,
even
man.
my old coworkers, I remember going back, and I told them what I was doing. Hey, I bought an Airstream. I didn't do it until I had the Airstream, and then okay, I'm done. And I came back probably 3 months later. And I was real thin. Like, I did, they all thought I was on drugs or something. They're like, so you're telling me you quit a career, you bought a trailer, you parked it in the rough part of the city.
Using their electricity.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you look like a crackhead, so something's going wrong. Of course, I had kind of a plan. I mean, I didn't have it fully baked, but I kind of knew. I was inside myself. I knew what I was doing, but it was going to take a long time to get there, to have to start over like that. So now,
yes,
I developed a new company, and it took a long time to figure out what that was, what I was good at. I mean, painting and sculpting was something I always did on the weekends, but honestly, it was 30 hours a week because we did it so much. So I always wanted that to flip-flop, Like, I'd love to be able to maybe do design on the weekends and actually do this for my living, It was the right time. It just was the right time.
You know how fortunate you are to have that moment,
oh, yeah.
In your life, and not an old person by any means, right? But midstream having the opportunity and the pull,
yeah,
to let the other side of you, reign stronger.
That's really true, and I'm super fortunate with that. I could think of, and I actually get really emotional when I think about it because it's been, I'd say 10 of those years were some of the most creative. They were the most creative years I've ever had. I mean, it was exceptional. AJ Vanderelli, who's a painter down at, and she had a gallery called the Vanderelli Room. Her and I would wake up in the morning, I'd go get her, and we'd go out and paint, just pen air paint, early in the morning. We did this forever. We'd just get up and go paint, and we'd be painting the buildings in Franklinton, because it was rough at the time. It looked great, because there was all this character, that before the walls get white, it was before all the money moves in. There's really that in-between time where it's really raw and real. And we could see that, and we both appreciated it. A lot of people down there appreciated that.
Sure.
So I was able to just kind of, I mean, obviously you got to think about money. and I had to make a living. And I was able to do that, and then slowly build my business up to what it is now, which is great, which is completely sustainable, and we're doing great. But that in-between time, that beginning time, not the beginning time was really just this.
How many?
It was awesome.
How many people were you kind of associated with in literally starting Franklinton District in Columbus, Ohio?
So some of the OGs down there was, I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Sweeney. We used to call him the mayor of Franklinton. Chris Sherman was down there. Those two were really, in my mind, the biggest advocates. Jim Sweeney was part of the FDA, Franklinton Development Association. So he's been down there beating on doors and trying to figure it out long before I came. And Chris Sherman was there renovating the 400 and getting, actually had the construction skills to figure out how to get these places up and working, So those two, amongst others, there's just a whole lot of others. But I'd say there was probably maybe, the 400 had a lot of artists in it now. It has a lot of artists in it now, but at the beginning there was probably only, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 studios that were rented. Now there's hundreds or something. It's pretty large, but I'd say there's probably like 20 people that was you'd see all the time, and then it grew and grew. But it really was like almost vacant down there. It was, it was weird
from the start.
It was
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So around what year was that? That was
2012 would be good. 2011, 2012.
It's not too long ago.
Yeah.
Really, thinking about it.
It isn't. I remember thinking back then too, is maybe I did a little bit of this because of the Mayan prophecy. You remember the 2012
which
thing?
Which one?
Well, the one where the Mayan calendar ends, and then it's supposed to be a whole new whatever world-changing event. And I would think if I had 20% of me was, I'm going to get a trailer, I'm going to park it somewhere, I'm going to be kind of, this mobile random guy. Yeah.
Did you paint your trailer?
No, Airstreams are aluminum silver. They're gorgeous. I renovated that thing twice. And I remember getting locked into that too, finding all the fittings and just going nuts, figuring out how to get the shower. And it wasn't just the shower. I mean, I made it really cool in there, and it took a lot of time to do it. But that took a lot of my energy too.
Do you still have it?
I sold it. Yeah. So it's still in Franklinton though. And one of the guys, Luke Howard, who is the Bee Collective, he's a beekeeper. And I had it on top of a hill, this little blue barn. I saw that there was a little blue barn up, and it was it almost looked like the country, but it was right next to land grant. And of course, it's right in the city. This huge train went by every 5 minutes. It shook the place. But I thought there's nobody there, and that would be a great spot for me to roll up, get away from the warehouse and get up onto the hill and rent that blue barn as my shop. So I was able to do that. It kind of worked out great, but since then I've sold it to the bee. He's a beekeeper up there, right in the middle of the. It's so cool too, because he's right in the middle of Franklinton. He's like a beekeeper. He's got bees and he's got the whole thing, and he's got a huge following, and he's a great guy. It was a cool thing, so I kind of sold the whole thing to him, and he's kind of taken over, and it's cool to see it. I mean, I get to go by and I drive, and just yesterday I just saw
so cool,
the old Airstream, yeah.
Well, that's good to know the fate of that Airstream.
It'll be there for a while, I think. Yeah, it's not going anywhere because it hasn't. You're gonna have to dig it out. It's been sitting there so long. So, yeah, I think it's there for a while.
For sure. Well, I took us down a little bit of a Airstream path there, but
yeah.
But we were talking about just the beginnings of the district and some of the art that has kind of spawned from those beginnings. Where would you like to?
Well, so the Scrawl was pretty great for that because it allowed us all to meet each other. It was like a gathering place. If you think about art in general and painting, it's a solo event for the most part. It's you staring at something and you're in your mind and you're on the canvas, but there isn't a whole lot. I mean, it's not like it's a it's not like pickleball, man, where everybody's hanging out. It's painting. And art can be kind of, isolated. So Scrawl was really great for that because it kind of brought us all together. It allowed me to meet everybody, and everybody kind of had that same energy going, and they saw kind of what was happening there. And when A.J. Vanderelli opened the gallery down there, that was a great place for us to gather. So it really, for me, and I know for a lot of others that I've talked to, especially coming up to this event, because we're doing... It's a comeback story. We're kind of going to make it great again. What this festival really could be, and we've got a lot of great returning painters, and they've talked a lot about that they kind of got the energy from Scrawl. They met the people that changed their lives in some way. It was just that it means a lot more than just a festival, and I know that for a lot of people. And that's,
It's nice of you to share that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your personal feeling toward it, and it goes beyond the event.
Oh yeah, I think way beyond the event. And the other thing is, so being in Franklinton, I was associated with the Idea Foundry towards the end. In the end, meaning I ended up moving to North Linden over 6 months ago. I did that because Land Grant has an extension bar. So the Land Grant extension, they called it. But that's my old shop. So it was time for me to move on. They wanted to put a bar there. So I really couldn't find anything down there that was suitable for a larger shop and what we needed at the time. So I ended up moving up to North Linden. But I got on the FAD board, the Franklinton Arts District board, to still be a part of all this. That was a great move. I'm really glad I did that. So now I'm down there, and I'm still a part of it. I still get to see I got a bunch of things I've made down there. I got over 7 public pieces down there. So.
Well, yeah, and that was one of the questions that I wanted to make sure we talked about is if you wouldn't mind spending some time on each of the pieces
Sure.
and the location of them and how kind of a little bit more about each of those items.
Maybe I can go from the earliest to the latest. So,
sure.
If you've been to Strongwater, if people are familiar with that, it's a used to be bar. Now it's Milo's Catering, but that was a really cool place. And there's a big giant woman in a rowboat down there on the big back mural. It's a huge mural. That was kind of one of the first ones I did down there, which was way back. And then I got started with pilot dogs. So if you're familiar with the pilot dog program down there, and these are all in the community. That's the cool part, Jim Sweeney, the guy I was talking about, we were sitting up at the Airstream on a picnic table talking about what could be cool public art down here. And he was real into that stuff too. He's like, he wants, it's an arts district. How do we get actual art down here? So we started talking about it, and the pilot dog program, which is they train dogs for special,
Sight
dogs,
people,
whatever. Yeah. But they've been down there since the 50s, and Franklinton was rough, super rough, especially. I think it was 80s and 90s. Man, you didn't even go down there. So they've been walking their dogs, and they're walking their dogs on those streets since the 50s. And it just seemed like a really cool thing that, they've made it all these years. They're one of the ones that have been down there the longest, So we approached them. I did a little maquette, a little small maquette of a walking dog, a full-size bronze with a German Shepherd, which was Toby or something like that. It was his first dog that was ever. Took it to them, and they said, yeah, we want to do it. And I was like, okay, here's how much it costs. And they're like, yeah, we still want to do it. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So it was just kind of a meant-to-be situation. Wow. Jim and I kind of walked down there and talked to him, and it worked out. But that's kind of how things seemed to go, I was kind of in the flow there. It felt like it was the right place to be, so right things were happening,
Sure.
So, yeah, we did a full-size bronze, carved it full-size out of clay, and then the bronze process happened in Florida. And then we had it shipped back and put into place, granite stone. Turned out really cool. It's down there now. And that's right before you get on to 315. So if you're heading down Town Street, I think it's Town or Rich, it's one of the two,
yep.
You'll see it before you hit on to 315.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then from there, I did a large mural for, and by the way, this isn't all me. I'm not doing everything myself. that's the other great thing, is I was able to glean so much talent from Franklinton. I used all Franklinton people to help me make all this.
So
it was
cool.
always
That is
Franklinton
so
people.
cool.
And I knew who they were. The Idea Foundry was great at that time. A lot of makers and craftsmen that were just incredibly intelligent people, and I was able to go to them and talk to them, and they're like, oh yeah, I know a guy that does stone. Let's go talk to him. And then, so I was able to do all these things with these different materials also, but with the help of
The community.
yeah, and it
that's
really
cool.
I painted a mural at a big large mural of a woman in the water, and it's big. It's on the whole side of a building. That turned out well. Eric Vacheris helped me with that. He's a really good painter and really good friend. He worked for me for a long time. And then let's see. Then with the slingshot. So the slingshot we did in 2022. And if you're familiar with that area, I hope you're familiar with the slingshot. It's so damn big, and it's right there. It's kind of tucked back a little bit because of River and Rich. And if you know where the Scioto, the river is, there's kind of that running path, and it's kind of a hill right there. But it's, yeah.
And there's the slingshot.
And there's a slingshot, so 25 feet in the air. That took a long time to make, and it was River and Rich, Casto, hired me to do it. And I used all Franklinton people. I mean, even down to the foundation.
It's really cool.
It is cool.
There's
I'm proud of that one. I really kind of
There's
am.
a lot of media, a lot of coverage
Yeah.
of that particular
Yeah, you'll see
piece.
it on sometimes you'll see it on the news. They'll kind of, the morning news or something. They'll have it. Yeah, it's like, well, there it is. That's really cool.
Painting along the river.
Yeah.
Skyline.
It's kind of, because
It's
it
nice.
does, the sun rises and you have the city behind it. And the cool thing about that slingshot is it looks like it's being, there's kind of two ways to think about it. We talk about it as being the catalyst of the community but I think of it a little bit more like the mischievous artist, kind of shooting rocks back into the city. It's kind of that mischievous, fun nature of an artist and thinking about like being a kid, and that creative spirit. That's really what the slingshot was to me. But it was.
It's so cool.
It is. Thank you. And
And a lot of that does kind of come into mind,
Yeah, being a kid.
Letting go and...
Correct. And then you can sit in it. So cool thing is a lot of people take photos of it. Google Maps has it's got 350,000 visits to it or some nutty thing. And there's a lot of cool photos of it because it becomes kind of that, you become a part of it. That's what everybody wants right now is that interactive experience. But this is done in an analog way. You just actually sit in it. It's like almost like an amusement ride, and you look like you're being shot into it. Yeah, that thing
That's
worked
fun.
out great. Cool story about that is so you can imagine I'm talking to developers and I'm saying I want to build a giant slingshot. That's not necessarily easy. I had 7 concepts. We were going to do a giant lightning bolt was one thought.
Really?
So I had all these different thoughts, but I had to kind of, talk to the suits about, and they all followed me on this whole journey and they were awesome. And that's kind of rare.
So did they jump right on the concept?
They took 3 of them and they
Okay.
went and voted. They in their company. So Casto went and got which was cool. They got the see because it's theirs. This wasn't a city piece. This was built and paid for by them. So they got their company involved, and they all picked the damn slingshot, which that's the one I wanted. It really was. I was trying to sell it hard, but I thought there was no way in hell. I know my wife and my mom were both thinking, you're crazy. There's no way. They're not going to pick a slingshot. We didn't want this thing. And but it worked out. It was really,
What are you saying?
Hi. Nothing, I'm not saying anything.
I think someone lost a bet.
Yeah. She can't help it. She just can't help
She
it.
can't. She can't. It's Tiffany Bumgarner.
No, the slingshot. You showed it to me and I was like, really, Andrew? Really a slingshot? And then it was great. It was
It's
wonderful.
awesome.
So wonderful.
Absolutely. And it is.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that was fun to put together. And there's so many great people involved with it. I got a lot of memories from that. We dragged it right down the street, too. I built it, 2 blocks away. It was a parade, walking it down to put it in place, and all these parts and all the welding and the crane and the whole, it was great. But yeah, so there's other work there, too. Land grant, I built a giant light that goes up above. They call it an art piece. I call it a light, but it's a cool light,
Sure.
It's above their new bar. It's great. It does like 400 or 500 different cool morphing options. I worked with a great Ben. I forget his last name, but he's an awesome LED guy. But there's a great example, right? I don't know how to do all this, but I'm able to, to partner with people that can. And then they get an opportunity to do something they never would have thought of. I got to go out and sell it and design it and figure it out. But then once I do, I'm able to kind of bring some people in and make something great out of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, the collaborations have just strengthened everybody. Everybody gets stronger and sees things a little more creatively as a team,
Yeah, and I've been able to use people over and over again through the years. You build relationships. Now we're doing larger things, and a lot of there's furniture involved. I mean, we do high-end things and fun stuff. But it's not all sculpture. It's not all painting. But like I said, we're a job shop. But I look for those, and we have a really cool one going in Hilliard, at Station Square. Is that what it's called? Hilliard Station. It's their small town. It's like their spot, their circle. Yeah, that's going to be a really cool one. That has to be in the ground by November 1st. So we're working on that currently. That's a really cool one.
Wow.
But in between that is a lot of other things. I mean, if all I did was try to go after sculpture, I might be out of a job because, there's a lot that goes into that. There's, I got to talk to the board. First, I got to win the damn project. Then I got to talk to the board. And then sometimes you can get lucky and get some on developers, like I like to, my name's out there enough to catch on to some developers. And then that's kind of the easier road. But to do the public art thing's kind of tough. So we do a lot of things. I mean, we do a lot of signage. But it's always have some sort of design, artistic bend to it. Or we don't take it.
That's good.
I mean, it's just not us. If it's just some rando fabrication job, we don't do it.
Well, I've already marked my calendar in November. I'm going to go run to the to Hilliard Square to check it out, man.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Be all lit up.
So is it, and it's, are you able to talk about it? Or
Sure.
Is it, I mean, is it like a,
it's a little more abstract. But it's these plates. There's 6 different plates, and they're kind of on almost like a Christmas tree. If you think about a big pipe going up through the middle, and these plates are kind of at an angle, like diagonal, and they all have animals on them, and they're all stainless steel. So it's like a shiny, reflective, almost mirror-like stainless. So there's 4 different animals. There's a deer, obviously. There's a fox. There's a crane, herring, and then there's what's the last one? An owl. And they're all kind of majestic. And the thought is it's right on that path that people, they do the Hilliard walk, nature walk or nature trail, it's called. So these are all kind of majestic animals that you wouldn't necessarily see every day. Maybe the deer, but, when you do see them, it's almost, everybody stops and looks. And the way I've done it, they're a little bit hidden in their own design. So they're kind of like something you kind of discover in a way. Yeah, and they light up from the outside. We're going to do some cool logic with the LEDs to kind of...
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's about 10 feet
Hilliard's so
tall.
lucky.
Huh? Well, I'm lucky to get the job.
Yeah, but they're so lucky to have it. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to,
Yeah, that's been going on for quite a while, getting it all together and figuring it all out. But
Wow.
yeah, and that would be the way, man. If I could turn it on and do exactly what I want to do, I would like to go to some of these smaller towns. Not that Hilliard's a beast, but even some of these smaller towns and find what they would like to do, and not just do the same old cheesy crap that you see. Do something kind of unique and interesting that's going to last a while and bring attention.
About that community.
Yeah, yeah. And not just about the founder and here's a plaque.
Yeah.
But something a little more, if I could do that, it'd be great. So, Working on it. One at a time.
It sounds like there's a large market.
Yeah, there could be.
Out there, I think that'd be awesome.
It would be cool.
The communities would all appreciate that.
Yeah, and then I'm a small town guy anyway. I mean, I grew up in a tiny town, so I like that kind of. And I think that's what Franklinton was for me too.
Yeah,
I always kind of reflect on that.
Yeah.
I mean, small. Like I graduated with 28 people. My whole high school was 200 people. It was tiny. It was in one building from kindergarten to 12th grade. It was just one building. It was in New York, western New York, near Buffalo.
Wow.
So, have you ever heard of Chautauqua Lake?
I have.
Yeah, Chautauqua. It's gorgeous. It was the best place to grow up in the whole planet because, except for the winters, which were nuts, really high snow, crazy winters. But that's why nobody stayed there all year long. So you had summer people, and it was a resort area. They all leave. And then it was a free-for-all for us. I mean, everybody was gone. But during the summer, all the money came in, and it was all really interesting and different because there was a lot of culture and fascinating. But in the winter, everybody just, they jet, and we're still there as the locals. So I loved growing up there. The lake was gorgeous. Man, I was lucky to grow up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that part of the Finger Lakes, or is it near the Finger Lakes?
It's near it. That's up a little further.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's between Erie and Buffalo. So it's just inside New York.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's an hour or a little less to Buffalo. Well, something like that. About an hour to Buffalo.
Yeah. It was so beautiful part of the country.
Yeah. If I always tell Tiff I'd love to get back there. She's not a small town person, but if we could have a little cabin or a little A-frame there.
She's from Sunbury, Ohio.
Well, I know.
But
I mean, pre-explosion of Sunbury, Ohio.
Yeah.
Even. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's another podcast. Maybe that turns into a TV series.
Yeah. She'd love that.
The Lundbergs.
Yep.
The Lundbergs.
We could do a whole series on just her performance closet. Of,
my performance closet.
Yeah.
Collapsed and you have to fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They
that's
didn't
good.
say this is my husband.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you had Tiffany Bumgarner on, and she did real well on this podcast. I heard it.
She
and
did.
A lot of views, and everybody loved it. And that's my wife. Yep.
And it's an awesome duo. It's an awesome couple. You guys are dynamic. The dynamic duo.
We're the tired duo, I think, is what it ends up being.
Well,
we're tired all the time.
This summer, I didn't go to the pool. I love to go to the pool. I didn't go to the pool one time this summer, and I didn't do anything. But there's just a lot of music this summer. Just a lot of local stuff. We did a little teeny bit of travel, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Beth did a lot of business travel.
Yeah.
She's involved in a lot too, but it's all fun.
This is the busy time. I mean, this is just.
Time. We're like ships in the night.
Yeah, we are for now.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Our son
okay,
went off
so
to college.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Curry. Everybody
correct.
on Facebook knows Curry.
Yeah.
It's connected.
He's
right?
got the best name in the planet.
He does.
I love that name, and I've told him that for years. Is that, I didn't give him the name because I'm his stepdad. So, but his dad that gave him his name, or Tiffany gave him the name. It's an absolutely genius name because everybody remembers it. They love to say it. It's easy to roll off the tongue. We've met people in his college. They're like, first time they say, who are you? And he said, Curry. Then they're repeating Curry. Nobody ever forgets Curry. Curry sounds friendly, inviting. It's a great name, and it's going to help him. I think it's going to help him. Plus, he's a great kid, but it's just, names, it's amazing how much that means,
It does, but he definitely exudes positive energy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just in photos. I've never met him in person, but,
He's a realist.
He beams.
I think he's kind of a realist. If you were to put, he's kind of a no bullshit kind of kid, and I like that about him.
Good.
He is. He's not overly anything. He's kind of straight line. I like that about him.
Yeah.
Him and I are really close. He's learning how to golf. He sucks, but we're working on it. I mean, he's getting it off the ground now, and it's starting to.
Where do you guys golf?
So Curry may end up what? Curry's going to listen to this, and he's going to be like, "What do you mean I suck?" No, he doesn't suck. Jeez, that was a little much. He does not suck. He really doesn't, because now he's hitting it off the tee, and he hit a 235-yard drive straight the other day. He's getting way better. But it takes, if you know anything about golf, it is the most frustrating thing on the planet if you're not good at it.
I suck.
Yeah.
I lived on a golf course for a long time, and I sucked.
It's hard to get a handle on. So yeah, but him and I play golf together.
Can I say something here?
Oh, here she comes.
But I dated Andrew when he was an artist. I'm like, oh, I got this cool artist boyfriend. And then we go to Top Golf, and he hits the golf clubs.
I don't think we can hear you very well. Sorry.
And he hits the golf clubs, and he's like this amazing golfer.
You do this every time with that. It's like he was a PGA professional at Top Golf. No, nobody else could hit the ball. Everybody was drunk, and I was the only one that could. That's kind of really what happened.
That was the real thing.
That's the real deal.
No, you're a really good golfer.
But yeah, I've been playing since I was a little kid. So being in Chautauqua, I grew up right next to a golf course, this little podunk course. I drove my four-wheeler there with my golf clubs on the back, and I played every freaking day. And I was 8 years old. My dad taught me. So, yeah, if I hadn't had that, I'd be frustrated. And I am frustrated with golf because it's frustrating. But, yeah, I'm pretty good at it because I've been playing a long time.
That's good.
Yeah.
PGA professional.
Yeah, but not even anywhere near that.
What kind of?
Yes, you did. You have said that before, which is like, I gotta reel you in.
What kind of clubs are in your bag, man?
Oh, okay. Well, I have a Ping. I think it's a Ping 625, and I have a LA Golf shaft, which costs more than the damn club head. Yeah. So yeah, and I like a lot of wedges. So I have too many. So I think you're only supposed to have 12 or 13 in your bag, and all the guys always give me shit because I have like 15 or 16. You're not supposed to have them, but I got a club for everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you are a pretty seasoned player.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Got the wrinkles to prove it. You notice all golfers like PGA, they may be 35, but they're wrinkly as shit because they're out in the sun all the time, man. The crow's feet are just flying on the PGA. You can just see it. There's no way out of it, man. That's your job. You're gonna play golf and you're gonna get wrinkly. You know?
It's a responsibility.
Yeah, Just be proud of those wrinkles.
What are some of the projects that your company has developed that you feel are some of your favorites?
Let's see. So we've made some really cool receptions desks, which are actually kind of fun to make. Using different materials and really kind of playing around with that right now. There's a craftsman who is in our shop. Him and I rent the place together along with a guitar maker, and he's just a super, super badass craftsman. I mean, just skilled, super skilled. And he's building something I designed right now, which is a table for a yoga studio, Moda Yoga. Moda Yoga. And it's just a great piece. It has a whole ring of a tree on the front of it, and it's hard to explain, but all the wood kind of goes into it, and it's just beautiful. But I love those things too. I mean, that's the designer in me, and that's kind of the thing that's kind of the two-headed horse. So my logo is a two-headed horse. So I kind of come from the art and the design aspect because I love design too, and that's kind of what's helped me is. To get these jobs, you have to, I have to design everything to show it to them, so I have to put things in the scene. I have to imagine what it could be. I have to do a lot of sketching. All those things have really helped me get work because I have all that background. I know how to sell stuff because it's what I did, and I had to sell ideas. That's what I was. So I just, overlapped it onto the art, more, the art way, rather than the design way, and that's kind of worked, you know.
That's so cool, though, man. It's really good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so you're able to really uniquely, I think, get to somebody that's looking for something like a receptionist desk to adapt to the feel of the organization, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing
Great
that
point.
type of stuff,
That's right.
But you have this unique background that's able to bring it all to fruition in a way that is going to hit a home run.
That's it. So being able to make sense of your brand into materials, into function, into like the feel and the look. But be able to look at your brand and look at your space and be able to put all that together, that's kind of the gift of it all, right? And then you make something that hopefully isn't just design, but it has a little art in it. There's a little something unique about it that just feels like it was handmade, you know? Yes. And there's less and less of that now. I mean, you can buy almost everything, obviously, but I really think that shit's going to start turning around. I think we're going to start, if anybody can have everything, they're going to want things that are really unique and handmade even more. We're probably 10 years from that kind of tipping point. But I really think there's something to that. I think now with the AI and everything happening, everybody's scared about that. I don't think so in my profession. I almost think in my profession it may be more sought after because less and less people are going to be doing it. And that's what's happening with the craft anyway, especially woodworking and metalsmithing. And man, that's kind of, there isn't, those people are dying off. There aren't a lot of people doing it at this moment. Now the trade school stuff seems to be getting a lift. So maybe some of that will kind of start to come back. But as it is, there aren't new people really taking on the stuff we're doing. So, we'll probably be a little more niche that way, I would think, in the future. Or at least that's what I like to tell myself. And the AI isn't going to get in my brain, and
No, don't let it.
Yeah.
But I don't believe anything I see on my phone, though.
No.
Or TV, for that matter.
But if you had a story about it and you knew the guy who built it, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like authenticity is what we're all thirsty for it, and that's the thing that's missing, the authenticness of what you're doing and what you're making. And what you're into, because it's just so fake out there, man. Everything's so fake, If you knew who made it, and you can see, the dirt under his fingernails, that guy made it, and that's authentic, Yeah. I just think
it's cool.
Yeah, I feel that way when I make
appreciation. There is an appreciation.
There is
for many.
I think they'll get more. There'll be more over time.
Let's hope so.
I think so. Unless the aliens, come back and take us over.
Okay, what kind of aliens are we talking about?
All right. Well, you want to hear the types?
I'm thinking. Hold on now. I'm thinking that you may even have a podcast out there on this topic.
Well, okay, but
are we blending
I told you
this,
that
or are we?
Yeah, I told you that in kind of like a confidential, only because here's what happened is.
My bad.
Here's what happened. Just to full disclosure, we did 12 episodes. They were great, man. They were really great, and that's Jason Price had a full outfit, like you do here, a full room of it, and we all had it was awesome. And we did 12 episodes, but one of the people that had been doing it, and me too, I mean, we said a lot of out there shit. We're talking about aliens, way out there stuff. And I think it really wasn't, I didn't know if I felt completely comfortable just letting all that out, because we were doing it for fun, and then it turned into something. But one of the people in particular actually works for the government. And then we started thinking, well, maybe she's, it might not be the best. We still have it all in the can. We got it all ready to go if we ever want to just. But we're talking I'm talking Draco lizards, and I'm talking fake moon, and I'm talking the Black Knight satellite, and all the crazy shit. We got really, really into it. It was really fun, and that's the kind of stuff I'm into anyway. When I'm building and thinking I'm doing all this, I'm always into alien podcasts. I do often, yeah, I really do.
That's awesome.
I don't know why I've never had any sort of experience myself, but I paint about it every last 5 years or 6 years. Everything is an alien theme for Scrawl Mural Fest for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's captivated me. It's kind of become a little a piece of who I am, I suppose.
What's your position with Scroll?
Scrawl, I'm co-director.
Okay.
So yeah, my part of it is kind of artist relations. I was on the jury, so I was able to kind of help select the talent, and then I'm kind of helping them to make sure they have the best experience they can. And that there's a lot of things that go along with that. I mean, you have all the music and you have all the stuff, and yeah, so co-director this year. It's a cool place to be. I like this job. Yeah, obviously it's volunteer. I really like the board. We got really great members that are really after the right things, and you can just see it in them. Everybody's pretty, well, again, authentic, you know.
Yeah, and so is it? I think you mentioned where it was, and I don't remember where it was.
Oh, where Scrawl is?
Yes.
Well, it's right across the street from the Slingshot, but that's not going to help anybody.
Franklinton.
It is Franklinton.
District, yeah.
So if you just look up River and Rich, or you look up to 400 West Rich, and it's in this gated area, which is really great gated area. And the cool thing about it is it's got murals everywhere, so it feels real urban, and it just fits the scene about what we're going to be doing. And then we're packing in 60 artists, and then we have 20 music talents coming in that are going to be playing along with us painting, and then we have 18 vendors, and then we have food trucks, but it's in this kind of smaller area, which makes it really kind of fun and intense, and everybody's just moving. It's not like a static festival. You're not just, everybody's painting, and they have 2 days to do it, and it's a lot of space. A 4x8 panel, that's a lot of paint. It's a lot of thinking to get done. So I mean, especially the newbies, you kind of see it in their eyes. They're like, oh my God, am I going to finish this? And I got like 30 people behind me looking at me. How am I going to do this? Right? And so
Yeah.
I was just giving a talk about that the other day to, this rah-rah about, we had a party beforehand, like getting ready for Scrawl. And the idea is get some headphones. Maybe you don't even need music in them. Put some headphones on. That kind of cues people in to leave you alone for a minute. Get your shit together. Have a plan. Don't come in here cold, because you're just going to end up scribbling in a corner for 2 days. Next thing you know, you're going to look up and the festival's over and you're fucked. So you're going to have to you got to plan for it, and put some thought into it. This free spirit kind of, I'm just going to paint what I feel. That's great, man. But when you're in front of all those people and all that's happening, and you got, how many other artists out there like really drilling
Freeze
in?
frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
it's
good
cool.
advice.
It's a fun thing.
That's good advice.
It is, because I've been there. I mean, I remember my first couple of years, I just think I was going to be a hippie about it. I'll just show up.
So do folks show up though? But you're suggesting don't just show up. Is there a registration? Type?
The artists?
Yes.
So they've all been.
That's
so there's
all
a
been
selection
established.
process. Sure.
Yeah.
There was over 160 of them this year, and we picked 55. So there was quite a few entries.
Awesome.
Which
so
was
it's going to
cool.
be a great, diverse.
Yeah.
group
Very diverse.
Of painters. That
Yeah,
are
all
gonna be
different
working.
styles too. I mean, we're real conscious of that. The other thing is you have to almost curate it. You have to look at it. You have to look at the pieces. I mean, it took us 7 hours to pick, who was going to be in it. We didn't take anything lightly. And, we'd look into the Instagram and go deeper and see, are these people really into it? Are they going to, be the scribbling in the corner thing? Because it's not good for anybody. So
Right.
Are they really into it? Are they? And that's a big thing for me, that I kind of I just gave a little speech for Arts Way, which is a cool kid for youth artists. But, it's like we're talking about. The other thing is own your craft. Work on it. Become good at it. Put the time into it. What do they say? 10,000 hours makes a master or whatever. But,
Experience.
there's just some things out there that's like, you do 1 or 2 or 3 things, and then you just post about it for 4 months. Just work, and then work, and then work, and then figure it out, and then break it all apart, and do it again. I work my ass off. That is probably that's the one thing that I'll say that I'm really proud of myself, is I work really, really, really hard. And everybody would say that because they all watched me do it. And I learned a lot. But I did that, and I'm proud of it. And it gave me that, like, that inner confidence, that quiet confidence, not the confidence I need to tell everybody about, the one that I know that I have, that I own, that I did myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need more of that shit.
We do, and it's inspiring to hear your story, Andrew. Really appreciate you talking about
Thank you.
the journey to now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the blessings that you've had, with the moments of doing what you've been able to do and become. You talked about your being authentic. You're probably the most authentic person that's walking around.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad. I hope there's more, because we need more of it. But
how fortunate you are.
I am. I'm really lucky that way. Usually I deflect that.
It doesn't
when
sound
somebody
like luck
says,
to me. It sounds like you made some really conscious choices.
Maybe some strategic choices along the way, even though it looked like it was haphazard and crazy with. But it's funny you say those things. I used to deflect all that. If you tell me something nice, I'd tell you something stupid about me. And that's another thing you get with age, is you kind of start to just say, thank you, I appreciate it, and take it in. You know what I mean? Finally, like, listen to somebody saying something nice about you. I didn't have time for it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't believe it. But it's nice to hear that stuff now.
And it's nice too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you've made some choices, and you've been a big part of Curry's life and Tiffany, and those obviously are contributing factors to your positive attitude.
Oh yeah, I'm a different dude, man. I'm way different than what I was when I. So that whole little story, Tiff would want me to tell this is so we met on Tinder, of all places.
I can't imagine.
We
this
did, yeah,
day
we
and
did.
age
Yeah, it was Tinder.
doing that.
Yeah. And she apparently had just put her profile up, like 12 minutes ago, which I don't believe.
I'm
I've
not
never
even
believed
really
that.
out there.
Yeah, it was one night I had a little wine, but that's not really what happened. But so she came up. She came up as a profile, and I swear to God, she was a bot. She was just too perfect looking. If you see her professional photos for her photography thing, it's just
we've seen her Facebook.
It's just
pictures.
It's like perfect. So I thought for sure that was a bot. So I just said something like something crazy, like what did I say? Something about it.
He said,
"Oh,
sure. You have boils on your back."
Yeah, I just something random like, is there something wrong with you? Do you have boils on your back because you look too damn perfect? And I thought for sure it was just going to be a bot that just responds, and I would, move on, because there's so much of that shit in there. But no, we actually ended up knowing all the same kind of people, and a lot of the same overlapping people with music and art. So that kind of worked out, but that was So, but what I was going to say is that was right in the middle of me being in the Airstream, living in that thing. And she comes down, and we're talking like, thinking like a little more like Westerville girl, not like downtown girl, although she's in the music scene and cool.
Yes.
This is a weirdo living in a trailer with an axe over his bed.
I like that though.
Yeah, and I don't know how she hung on to me that way, and I don't know how it worked, because it's a huge deterrent, and I get that, but it had to be just the right person that understood that where I was headed.
Knowing Tiff, I would say that's like perfect match.
It did, bitch. So you live in this thing, and you have fires out here in the front, in the middle of the city? Yeah, but. Yeah, it worked out. Now
so
I live in Westerville. We have a condo, and we have 2 dogs, and I have a ready-made son with being the stepdad, and it's great. It's a whole different world, but what a different, 2 different photos right there of what it was like and what it's like now.
It sounded like maybe 3 had the corporate American design career. Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the hippie days, and then back into the.
Is it fair to say that you're one of the initial influencers for Franklinton?
I would
comment?
think, a lot of people have mentioned that. Now I don't know if I actually am. I could think of 10 people that were down there before me, but were they maybe as visible as I was? Just because
You were working.
I was standing out. I was right there, and I was working, and I was on the hill, and I was making weird shit. And it would definitely made it feel like it was an arts district because I was out in the open doing it. So that was probably, if you want to talk about like OG stuff, that's kind of how, maybe for me, it was just me showing my working, in the neighborhood. That was probably the reason they would consider that. But it was way back in the beginning. But there were some really smart people that were already trying to figure this out. Scrawl had already been invented before I got there 3 years earlier. So, but yeah, I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's an awesome area.
It is.
And the vibe's still, I think, ringing.
It is.
Really
It's changing, though, man. It's, I think in a good way, but just like everything else, I mean, you know the story. We've seen it everywhere. Is you get some new money in there, and people see what it's worth. And I mean, you can't imagine that the two beautiful bridges to nowhere. I mean, there certainly are plans for that area. It's right next to the city and all the buildings. I mean, that area's been wanting to be developed since the clouds parted and it wasn't so rough. I mean, there's certainly reason for that. But that being said, there's at least two different big buildings down there that house artists. So that's a lot of them. So that's why you'd call it the Arts District. I mean, right. I always kind of thought of it as like Short North is they called that an Arts District, and that's kind of where. And back in the day, there used to be people that were working down there. There were studios, and it was I think there was something called Art Force One, and these different cool places that were job shop or making art shops. And then now I think Franklinton's a place where the art's made. And that's what I like about the Arts District, because it's actually where people are making it. It's not just the selling of it, it's the making of it. So, yeah.
So cool. And Scrawl is an annual event, right?
Every year.
Every year.
Every year. And, through COVID, it had to go digital one year. And then after that, it's been kind of spreading out since. So, you can, after COVID, when everybody was still a little timid through the next year or the year after, and it wasn't, make sure everything's spaced out and everybody wear all their shit and do all their stuff. And that's kind of, that got into Scrawl, it spread it out. It maybe made it a little less intense. No, a lot of less intense. It was not intense. The last couple of years I've been into it, I've been a little disappointed by it, because I think it could be back to what it was, because there was a real, and I know that because I've been there with it, and I know all the people I know were like, that was the best, and we want to see if we can get that feeling again. Putting it back in the cage area or the fenced area was kind of the heart of it, location. It was kind of, put everybody on top of each other again, make this thing intense, make it fun. And I think that's what this one's going to be. It's going to be a great one. All the guys, everybody I talk to, the artists and the people putting on, Chris Sherman and Sweeney and all those guys that are helping out, you can just see a spark in their eye, because we all want to relive that a little bit, even if it's just...
It's more than an event for many, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, we got a lot of new talent, a lot of cool young people, and
Good.
There's a lot of great art in this city.
There is.
There is.
There really is.
And I think it's kind of, it's making its way. We're starting to see more murals, and man, there's some great painters out there. Do you know who Mandy Katsky is? She goes by Birdie.
I don't.
She's incredible. And she's kind of international now, so she's painting everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she had even mentioned it. We had another little podcast about this event, and she mentioned that she felt like she got her confidence there at Scrawl. I mean, it was a place where she got to ask questions and be a part of it. And she was super young at that point. She was only 19 or 20 when she started coming around, hanging around with the painters and doing Scrawl and stuff. And it kind of opened her mind, and she kind of took off from there. And there's a lot of cool painters around the city now.
That's so cool to hear too. That's awesome. Yeah.
Now it's sculpture. It should be the next. That's what,
For you?
Well, yeah, I think so. I want to definitely get a few more going. We have a really cool one coming up. I don't even know if I'm mentioning this, but there is. Yeah, I guess I can't really mention it yet. We haven't signed anything for it, but
All
it'll
right.
be cool. And
Okay.
it's bronze and it's interesting, and there's
nice.
animals, and
Nice.
it should be really fun. Yeah, that's coming up soon, I hope. But I think that's kind of the next layer. We're seeing a lot of murals happening, and I think we're going to start seeing the sculptures happening. And I think that's already been talked about a little bit, about where to put them and what to be. And I just hope that, not selfishly, actually, this just makes sense, is that they consider local before they go national. And there is, I'm not a snood that thinks everything needs to be local. We need some supranational, international talent here to show us some great stuff. I 100% believe that. But there is good people here that can actually build the work and that has great thinking, and I think we got to give them opportunity too, along with that. So we'll see. The city's becoming so big, and it's becoming kind of it's a major, big, large city. They're going to want, sculptures from Australia, and they're going to want, to make sure they get the New York City sculpture in, and they get you know what I mean. And it's the same thing it was with design. It's funny. Sometimes we wouldn't get the job in design because we were from Columbus, Ohio, because they want to go to New York City to go have their meetings. They don't want to come to Columbus, Ohio to have their meetings. But it's the same kind of feel, right? I mean, it's like you want to have big, crazy talent and be able to brag about it. But there's definitely is local talent here, and I hope they, and I think they will.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, there is.
There is. Yeah. I mean, anything else that you wanna share? That's important to you. It's going to be a great Scrawl 2024.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, the only thing, we've got it all locked down now, just waiting on the weather.
I know.
Make sure
No
we're
one
good
can
there.
Control that. And
Can't control that.
It's September.
September 7th and 8th. Now, the way to do this festival, it's a little unlike the others, is since it's a 2-day festival, you really want to come down, I don't know, mid-afternoon or towards the beginning, and see how the artists start. And then you come back Sunday and see what they came up with. And they're usually very different. What you think it's going to be and what it ends up is really surprising, and that's the cool part of it. And you get to see people's process. If all you showed up as Sunday afternoon, you wouldn't see what it took people to get there. And everybody's so different with their process. So, how people go and get it actually onto the board and start working on it. So it's cool to see it twice if you can. I mean, obviously come Sunday if you want to see them all finished. But we give these away. So, no, we don't give these away. These are auctioned at another event, Art for Franklinton. And then that money goes back into the community. So everything's nonprofit, and everything is kind of is used for churning it back into the Franklinton community. So these panels are auctioned off. There's a live and a silent auction that happens every year. That's a super fun event. And you can imagine kind of live auction and artists, and it's fun. Yeah. So that happens, and then we sell those, and then put it back into the community. That's how it works.
That's incredible.
It's
Good
cool.
stuff.
It's cool that way, that it
Definitely
has a second life. They aren't just paintings that go nowhere. Initially, those paintings were, I believe the initial thing was to put them on old dilapidated buildings around the neighborhood because there were so many of them. All the windows that were boarded up. Well, why don't we put scrawl murals up there? And that was kind of one of the original intents. We'll make murals and then we'll go put them on some of the dilapidated homes so they look a little better. It's a cool idea too, right? Yeah, and then it's evolved, from there. But
that's cool. Very good.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for sharing so much, representing, and actually the fruits of the years of your work and your ideas, that are sprinkled. Hopefully, the beginnings of the sprinklings of the efforts that you're giving Columbus, Ohio, Franklinton, and some of the other clients that you've worked with through your company. But really enjoyed your story and your inspirations. But you're really a unique person. Listening to what you're talking through. It really is a blessed existence you have. You know?
Yeah, thank you. I
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciated telling my story. I don't always get to say it. It's just kind of nice to rehash it and think about it a little bit. And I suppose it is somewhat unique, but it's definitely me. I am lucky. I feel really good about where things are. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Andrew, thanks again. This is episode number 79. Andrew Lundberg, with a little sprinkling of Tiffany Baumgartner.
Yeah, of course. What did I say?
Actually, no.
What did
Who
I say?
lost the bet? I think it was her. Episode number 79.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.